We're live in the STEMbassy. All right. Well, I'm going to try to do a better job at this period of time where I'm waiting for you guys to come in. If you're watching the replay, this is STEMbassy Live, where we have 4 science STEM ambassadors. That's STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. People who are ambassadors and people who love STEM, talking about STEM, communicating about STEM. And this is a weekly show every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Raven, the Science Maven, also known as Raven Baxter, my government name. And I'm the host of the show. So thank you for tuning in. We are playing some music, jamming around, waiting for the guests to arrive, the audience to arrive. If you're here, make sure you say hello in the chat. We want to know where you're watching from. Where are you watching from? In the chat. Everybody who's in the chat, where are you watching from? Also, if you're just tuning in, make sure you share the link so that you can have people watching with you. Don't keep us a secret. Okay, great. So we're going to go ahead and get started because we did start about 10 minutes late. We're going to go ahead and get started as soon as we can so that we can make the most of our time here in the STEMbassy. So again, my name is Raven Baxter. I go by Raven the Science Maven. I'm the host of the STEMbassy, place where STEM ambassadors meet. And I am joined by 3 wonderful people in science that you are going to meet very shortly. So I'm going to bring on Alex Peterson. And Alex is going to introduce herself to us and tell us a little bit about what she does. Hi, Alex.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm currently a 3rd-year biochemistry PhD student. I work in bacterial biofilms, specifically on the enzyme dispersin B, which breaks down bacterial biofilms. But it turns out it's awful at its job and it's really slow at breaking down biofilms. So my project is basically to try to engineer or find an enzyme that does that better because bacterial biofilms have a lot of impact in human health. And if we can break down biofilms, then antibiotics can work better.
Thank you so much. I actually am a huge fan of bacterial biofilms.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting body of research. So we'll definitely get more into that. And let's bring on Miss Genevieve. Tell us, first of all, tell us what you would like for us to call you tonight, and then introduce yourself and what do you do? Hello.
Hi, I'm Genevieve. I'm currently a postdoc. My background is in neuroscience. I am working at the Monell Chemical Senses Institute, or Chemical Senses Center in West Philadelphia, where we study smell and taste. So my dissertation work was looking at smell and the impact of metabolism on our sense of smell and olfaction. And now I'm looking at how gut bacteria might be modulating taste receptors in the gut.
Wow, so you work with gut bacteria.
I'm trying to. I'm a brain girl. And it's very far from the brain. And so I'm interested in the gut-brain interaction. Learning more about the gut now because don't know about the gut.
That's really interesting. You guys are doing fascinating work. I've watched a lot of cool documentaries about the gut and the brain. I can't wait to talk more about that. It's so interesting. Okay. And last but not least, we're going to bring in Ariana. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Hi. I'm Ariana Soretta, and I am a master's student studying wildlife ecology. I am currently investigating bobcat connectivity through urbanized landscapes in New Jersey. So basically, I take the physics principle of resistance and apply it to landscapes to path where animals are likely to move throughout it.
Wow. So is something that you're interested in like land bridges?
Yeah, so we talk a lot about wildlife crossings in my niche of wildlife ecology, and also going underneath the roads through stream crossings.
Wow. So, wow, I'm loving all of this interesting, fascinating work, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation. So, now that you all have gotten to know Alex, Genevieve, and Ariana, please think of any questions that you have to ask them regarding the work that they do, because they do really fascinating things. So this is your time to talk to some exciting scientists who are doing exciting work, and they're right here for you to communicate with. So make sure that you put any questions that you have in the chat, anything at all. There's no such thing as a stupid question, a dumb question. We are open books here. Everybody here has agreed to be transparent. So anything at all, ask away. All right. So that means it's time for, I don't know, does this sound like a drum roll? Hot topics. Yay. Okay. So there's a lot going on in the world, and a hot topic that has been consistent over the past few weeks, even since the beginning of this STEMbassy show, has been the coronavirus, COVID-19. And I want to make sure that we address it as COVID-19. And we will explain a little bit about why. But COVID-19, also known as the novel coronavirus situation, and now it is a pandemic, which means that there's a global outbreak of the disease caused by COVID-19. So last time we spoke on the STEMbassy about COVID-19, we weren't really sure how the world was going to be affected. At that point, it wasn't a pandemic, and it was recently classified as a pandemic. And now we are seeing extensive measures taken by governments around the world to help prevent the spread of the disease. So most recently in America, USA, we have whole organizations just shutting down, large organizations and systems, school systems. Companies like Apple have been shutting down their stores for 2 weeks. We have large companies like the cruise lines aren't going to be operating for the next 30 days. They're totally ceasing operations as far as travel goes. So we are kind of at this place that I don't think many of us have ever seen before, at least in my generation, in our generation, millennials. We've never really seen anything like this. And I'm sure a lot of people haven't. So how have you guys been feeling about the response to COVID-19?
I think it's been kind of slow on the uptake in some regions of the world, and realizing that we're going to have some disturbances in our day-to-day lives. And I think one of the biggest things with it now being a pandemic is that we're moving more towards away from containment and more towards mitigation, and that what we call flattening the curve, which I'm sure we'll talk about more, and just practicing, sanitary measures like washing your hands, and social distancing is the buzzword now. And so I think, and I feel like social media has played a big deal in how COVID-19 is being addressed in this day and age than how it has been like in 1918 with the Spanish flu. Definitely a completely different ballgame. What do you guys think?
Before we get on that, I really want to bring up this image here. Can you guys see this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this is, I don't know if we can go into it now, just about flattening the curve, if you'd like to. I just wanted to give the photo here for reference so other people can see it. But there's, at the bottom here, there's how long the virus has been spreading. So this is time. And then up here, we have how many people are sick at one time. So each of these colors, each of these lumps represent people who are sick at a given point in time. And so this blue area would be the number of sick people if we don't take steps to slow the spread. And you can see it goes way above this dotted line here, which is the limit for how many very sick people hospitals can treat. So the reason why we are taking steps to slow the spread is because we want to have something more like this yellow area, where the number of people that are sick at one time stays below the capacity for our healthcare system to manage. So even though it feels like an overreaction, you have to be really realistic. Like, I know a lot of people see the toilet paper is being like just vaporized from all stores. The hand sanitizer is being just vaporized from all the shelves. They're nowhere to be found. Think about hospitals and like hospital beds being taken up at the same rate that toilet paper is missing from grocery stores, or ventilators to help people breathe. We don't have as many resources to go around to help serve these people. So that's just to kind of help people understand why we're having this response. And the virus is very contagious. The replication structure of the virus just makes it so that it replicates a lot and makes a lot of copies of itself, which makes it very contagious. So we have to keep all those things in mind. Anybody in the comments have questions? We just said a lot. Any of our other scientists have anything to add?
I was reading somewhere that like it can stay on, you know, plastic and steel for like 48 hours, like to know that in 40 hours, like 3 to 4 days. Is that like, is that because of that? Well, clearly that's because of the structure, but like what, I'm not a molecular biologist and I'm not a virologist, so I don't know. But like,
me neither.
Yeah, is that any different than the regular flu?
I'm actually not a virologist either. And usually we do have someone on the show who has a lot of expertise in that field, but this just happens to be the one show where everyone's like, and that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. I think a lot of people are under the impression that scientists know everything at all times. And the reality is that we all work together to form like a common understanding, which is a part of why research is so important. And publishing is because we want to tell each other what we know. And also spaces like this, right? Because if we did have somebody who was really good and understood COVID-19 thoroughly, they would educate all of us. But, you know, that's not to say that you guys in the audience, hello, can't do a quick Google search. You're also scientists. Anybody can do science. Anybody can do research. So don't be afraid to Google. Make sure you are going on websites that are scholarly. Okay.
Yes. Scholarly sites.
Scholarly sites.
I'm gonna put a link to Google Scholar. I keep seeing so many Facebook posts of like total fake information spreading, and people keep sending me emails of like, this is how you prevent it. This is how you stay safe. And none of it is real.
Yeah. I've seen, there's so many. Somebody's rubbing cinnamon on their chest because apparently someone did a Google search and the top result was like, cinnamon kills viruses.
Yeah. I will say that my mother is a physician and actually works in our hospitals. And while they haven't seen it in her county yet, they are preparing, and they're working on trying to make sure everybody understands that diagram that you were saying. And she was also just saying that it's really important for young, healthy people to be aware that for them, it just might be like a really bad cold. And they might be tempted to still go out to the grocery store and stuff. And the worry there is, as you were saying, Genevieve, is that sometimes it can just stay on like metal and stuff, like the shopping carts. And then grandma comes grocery shopping and she might not have the same level of immune system we do. And then she gets very sick. And so that's what I've heard from my physician mom, is that we should really be protecting our elderly and our people with not strong immune systems from it, even though we might not get very sick.
Yeah. So I guess that this would be a good segue to start talking about social distancing. Oh God. Social distancing. And so social distancing is a way for us to prevent the spread of the virus by just minimizing contact with other people. And minimizing, I mean, some people can carry the virus and not even know it and be asymptomatic. So we have to be very careful. And, you know, that's another thing about the spread of this virus, is because you can carry it and be asymptomatic, you can also spread it just that easily. Like you won't have any sense of urgency to go get tested because you wouldn't even know to get tested. But meanwhile, you could still potentially be spreading the virus. So, you know, social distancing is really important. And I know here in New York, they've been asking to cancel events that are holding over 500 people. Schools are being canceled for weeks and weeks. And it's a state of emergency. I think we have a national state of emergency, right?
We do.
So, how are you guys practicing your social distancing?
So I'm actually self-quarantining. There was a case, not a confirmed case in my program. One of my coworkers had all the symptoms, but they wouldn't test her because they weren't severe enough. So I've decided to self-quarantine for at least 2 weeks. They're now saying that it's possible that you can be asymptomatic for more than 2 weeks now. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to tackle that. But also in DC in general, they've just passed a statute or a law, I guess, saying that bars are now all closed and any restaurant that functions as a bar can only have 6 people at its bar at any time. And anything that's like a club or anything like that is totally closed for the foreseeable future.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
That is really
It's
crazy.
a lot.
It's a lot. And that was just passed this morning.
Okay.
Wow. So this is very fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Yeah, I've also been in kind of a semi self-quarantine. Our provost at our university has, we thought maybe I had been tertiarily exposed, but they're saying anybody that's that far out, it doesn't really make sense for you to social quarantine. It's more about practicing good health practices and just staying at home as much as possible. So that is what I've been doing. I've been hanging here, working from home. If I need to have a meeting with someone, we connect via the internet, much like we are today. And that's really what I've been doing, is just staying home and not doing things I normally would do.
Like I've been I'm not fully self-quarantining yet. My jobs have moved to online and at home. So like at Monell, we're moving to like virtual meetings, and we have online access to our computers from home so that we can work on data analysis or anything like that for like at least the next 2 weeks. And then I also adjunct at a university nearby. And so they have canceled live classes or in-person classes until after Easter. So on that aspect of work aspect, I guess I'm forced into self-quarantining, but I did go to a bar yesterday. And I did go get a facial today. I've just been out and about. So until Philly's like, you're closing everything down, then I'll probably stay put. But you know, I don't have anywhere to go tomorrow, so I'm gonna spring clean and quarantine.
Yes.
I definitely did that.
Yeah.
I think
I've got some art projects lined up.
Yeah, no, I think that it's going to be a really bittersweet, but more sweet than bitter thing that's happening for a lot of Americans right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I could be really naive in saying this, but I really do feel that this is a good opportunity for people to just take a breath. If you're not like too hyped up with the mania and the panic, like just take this as a moment to reflect and get back to your center. A lot of people don't have, here I am coughing.
No.
Social distancing. A lot of people don't have the time to take off of work or haven't taken off of work in years. And this is someone's first chance in a while to maybe take a breather, reconnect with themselves at home, maybe
reconnect with the kids.
Yeah, interact with your kids. And so I'm hoping that there's some type of like awakening inside of somebody's mind, you know, across the country where they're like, oh, wow, you know, let me like become a better person. Or like, I don't know, I've been stuck in my house for 2 weeks. I have a new outlook on life. Or, you know, what do you guys think about this? Do you think that there's a silver lining to all of this?
I think so, because a lot of times, like, I feel like it's like an American mindset that you have to be at work. And if you don't do 9 to 5, then you do like 9 to 7, and you have to overwork and do all these things. And it's like, you really don't have to, especially when it's a situation like this, where you're getting sick and people are dying. Sometimes it puts things in perspective. Like, you're so busy working, or like, at least us in academia, we're like trying to, get the next paper out or do all this stuff, and you forget about what's really important. So it's kind of like, it's a shame that it has to be forced, but it's a way to force you to see, like, okay, maybe I should spend more time at home. Maybe I should. Maybe I should. Yeah.
Yeah. And just a quick comment from Natasha Hampton from YouTube. Hi, Natasha. Thanks for watching and tuning in. She said, make sure to check with your organization's HR policies before you self-quarantine. Really great. Really great point. You want to make sure that you have job security. And, unfortunately, we don't live in a world where that's guaranteed, even in a situation like this, where you're being asked to practice social distancing. A lot of companies are not implementing that and are making people come to work even if they are in close proximity. So yes, make sure you are checking with your HR policies before you decide to take 2 weeks off of work and then you come back and you don't have a job. It's not funny, but that's real. That's a sad, inconvenient truth of our society. One comment that I have is like, I'm really hoping that this opens up new doors for companies to understand, like, some of the work we do can be from home. Remote, right? Okay, remote working is a thing. And this is probably going to force a lot of companies to develop those policies to test out what that would look like. And I'm really praying that that becomes more commonplace because Americans work really hard. I think we work some of the longest hours in a day. Standard, like 8-hour workday is a lot compared to what some other societies practice. So I'm hoping that this opens up a new wave of thought as far as how we work. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know what it's going to take for that to change. It may not even be COVID-19.
I also think it's interesting that it's kind of forcing us to use measures that would otherwise be used by people who have trouble, like who with disabilities and have trouble using the resources through their job or school. So now it's sort of like, okay, we're learning that a lot of jobs, a lot of universities, stuff like that can be way more accessible than they have been previously. So that's another kind of silver lining of COVID-19 is we'll better know how to use these technologies for people who need it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So just being a teacher and educator, I have to put on basically everything online and teach myself. We're going to get training, but I'm really going to have to teach myself how to teach online full-time and to students who are not in college. I've done this for college students. I've never done this with high school students, and I'm teaching high schoolers right now. And a lot of them don't have computers at home or internet, and their phones may not really be working that well. So yeah, like to go to what you were saying, it really teaches us about accessibility and equity. And are we really prepared to provide a truly equitable experience for our students when they're not in school? I don't know. I don't know. We'll learn.
That reminds me of my time in Mozambique. I taught with the Peace Corps full-time as a biology teacher. And just thinking back to the conditions there, it's the same. Like some students had phones, but if like school were to close, I don't know how I would educate them if I was not there every single day in person. And so I do think it's definitely going to be challenging to some parts of our system to see if we can manage to be accessible to students across the board here, which I think it's going to be daunting.
It is going to shed some light on lots of holes in our system. Because we're just like, yeah, just move over to the internet. It's fine.
Great if you have internet.
And if you don't have internet, you're just like, what?
Mhm.
And now there's people who are realizing, wait, not everybody has internet. It's like facts. Not everybody has internet.
Okay. So good points made by everyone. Thank you so much for this conversation. We have another comment here from Natasha Hampton from YouTube. Thank you for participating in the convo. She says, I've heard staying hydrated can prevent you from getting sick because stomach acid kills the virus. Is this true? And if so, why is it, scientifically speaking?
So this was actually sent to us. I think I know what article she's talking about.
Yeah, I've seen that one too on Facebook.
Our head of our department sent us this article saying, like, you guys need to stay hydrated. And then immediately after sent us an email saying, oh, wait, no, that's not true. So I don't really know the science behind it, but it was kind of just a funny moment. Yeah, she was like, "Ooh, never mind."
But do stomach acids typically kill viruses?
I'm not sure.
Here's me Googling it right now. I'm going to give you my scientific opinion right after I Google this.
Yeah, I
A
honestly
reputable Google website.
Okay, so it's looking like it's a no. Drinking water does not prevent coronavirus infection.
So my guess would be probably yes if it was only transmitted via your mouth, but probably not if it gets in your nose or your. I think eyes are also a possible route of infection.
Yeah.
So drinking water isn't going to help you with that. So if it's only come into contact with your mouth, then probably. But otherwise,
But if it's gotten to your mouth, it's gotten to everything essentially.
exactly.
Because it's more like a respiratory thing. Like,
Yeah, exactly. So water won't help with your respiratory system.
Yeah.
debunking memes.
Okay, like this could be a whole thing, debunking memes. Thank you for your question, Natasha.
You do a whole STEMbassy
Your
on
best bet is to just keep washing your hands, practice social distancing, because like we said earlier, you can be a carrier of the virus and really have little to no symptoms.
Yeah.
So you can't even really look at someone and just know that they're carrying COVID-19. So practice social distancing, wash your hands, and you should always stay hydrated. You know, drinking water is never bad. So keep drinking your water anyway, but don't rely on that. Don't rely on that. Yeah, she said, well, at least my skin will glow, she said.
Love that.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Your skin will glow.
Stay hydrated.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm out of water almost.
Just a little bit of water.
I hope LaCroix counts.
I think LaCroix counts.
Yeah.
It's mostly water.
Exactly. Essence.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So it looks like the virus has gotten into close proximity with our leaders. And Canada, I know Justin Trudeau's wife has tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. And that is the Prime Minister of Canada's wife. For those of you who don't know, I can see Canada from here. It's like right there. So Justin Trudeau is basically like my city's president, low-key. Yeah, like where I live, there's Canadian flags flown with the American flags.
Okay.
So whenever you see an American flag, you might 50% chance there's also a Canadian flag. That's how close we are. So yeah, his wife is positive for the coronavirus. They are self-quarantining for 2 weeks. And as you all may also know, President Trump has now come into contact with someone who tested positive for COVID-19.
But he tested negative.
He tested negative because his doctor, put out the thing. And so, but what if he was positive? What would that do to our country? How would our country react? It would be kind of scary.
I think it'll be a split reaction.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to stay split between what and what.
He still communicate via Twitter, which is a form of social distancing.
He will still do his Twitter thing, so
I don't think anything can stop that.
no, not even COVID.
No, he'll be an avid user of Twitter until he can't tweet anymore. Bless his heart.
So,
Bless his heart.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, I mean, I watched him give a short statement since the news came out that he was in contact with someone who came into COVID-19 or tested positive for it rather. And he didn't sound that good to me. He sounded a little sick, and he had on a baseball cap at a press conference, which I was like, does he normally do that? Like,
I don't think I've seen him in a baseball cap, but also
was it a MAGA hat?
no,
Yeah.
it was a USA cap, and it was blue.
Rallies.
So I was like, this is different. It's different. So we'll see. Hopefully,
Was he his usual?
no, he
orange
wasn't his
tinge?
usual like. He wasn't real Trumpy. He was just kind of like, and then he left.
but not Trumpy.
All I have to say is it is allergy season, so maybe benefit of doubt.
Yeah.
That it's allergies. I'm just, I don't know. I know my nose is running because of allergies, and sometimes I sound congested. So
Yeah.
Spring has sprung.
True. That's really true. So let's just hope it's just allergies because we can't, as a country.
There's a succession.
Colds and flus are all happening now too.
yeah.
There's a succession. I caught that. Oh boy, we better change the subject before it gets political. All right. So moving on. I think, do you guys have any hot topics? Hold on. Oh wait, no, I do want to talk about this because I meant to talk about this on the past two shows, but we were running out of time. I want to talk about. This is totally unrelated to COVID-19. Just let you know. Switching gears, okay? Switching gears. I want to talk about mental health for scientists, graduate students. I want to talk about self-care and things of that nature. So I'd be happy to lead this conversation, but I know that one of you wrote this down that you were specifically passionate about it. So I definitely want to give the floor to anybody who feels comfortable kind of kicking off that moment, talking about mental health.
I feel like schools, or at least universities, are becoming more aware and doing more about it. I know that at my university, in my department alone, we had one graduate student commit suicide and a postdoc commit suicide. So that's a lot. So they're doing things now to be more aware of it, and mental health days, and if you need time off, they're being more supportive of it. So I think that that's a really good thing, because a lot of times graduate school, you can they kind of just want you just to be like a busy bee and just work. But that has a horrible toll on your mental state. It also depends on the type of advisor you have, because some advisors totally support you taking breaks and some advisors don't, and they need to have regulations on top of that so that your advisor is not the be all and end all. And I think they're making steps towards that, which is really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember when I started graduate school, there was kind of this feeling that graduate school is hard, and they made that very clear. They're like, graduate school is going to be hard, and it is almost inevitable that you're going to end up at least feeling some type of way sometime in graduate school. So it almost helps to know that pretty much everyone in grad school goes through some mental health struggles while you're there. But it also kind of creates this looming feeling that it's coming, it's going to be hard. And they definitely are getting better and better at dealing with it. I go to University of Maryland, and they have some really good mental health resources that they're doing a good job of talking about and making sure everyone is aware. But it's not always great.
It's not the best.
Yeah, they did a poll, I think, recently, and found that the incidence of depression in my specific chem and biochem program was significantly above average. And I believe their response to that was to buy plants and put them in the entryway. Yeah, because that'll fix it. So now we call them depression plants. So if you ever need to take a picture, we say go to the depression plants. They're a great place to take a picture.
Oh yeah.
So,
My
yeah.
university did something like that. It was for like the university as a whole. It was a reflection maze, and they spent a lot of money to create like this little maze of plants where you can go decompress and reflect. And I don't know if they did like it was towards the end of my time there, but that was because I was at the same university for like undergrad, master's, and PhD. Then I had an extended PhD experience. So I was there for a long time. So just to see like the growth over time, especially just like within graduate school, like that was like 9 years. So like just to see like from where it was when I started to where it was when I left, they're really implementing some good stuff.
I think it's highly dependent on department too. As I feel like most universities, it's very much about kind of the department atmosphere and what your department chair and your college dean is putting out there. And my department is pretty good in that incoming grad students are met by older grad students and they're like, no, it's okay to take a day. Like, go for a walk, like do nothing all day and sit and watch Netflix. Like your lab work is still going to be there in the morning. It's like, if you need to take a day, take a day. And so I've been real appreciative of that climate in my department, but being on graduate student government and hearing stories from other students, I know that's not the case in most other departments and that they don't have that same kind of atmosphere. It's kind of the nose to the grindstone and just keep going as much as you can, eventually burnout. But it's nice to hear that in some areas we're improving. But unfortunately, there's always room to improve.
Yeah. I also think that like it comes a time in graduate school where you have to learn to say no. Because early in graduate school, you're just like, yeah, I'll do it. And you just keep going, and you can burn out really quickly if you're always going to that point. And so that's like the difference is like when you see them come in as first years, they're like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and they just want to work really hard and and cure cancer and save the world. And then you see like the bitter 6th year who's like, yeah, I just gotta do what you do to get out. But like it's a good time to have that conversation because it takes going through that to learn that sometimes you just have to tell your professor, no, I'm not doing it, or no, I can't. And it's okay.
Yes. And I just want to, you guys made excellent points. And I wholeheartedly agree with everything that was said. And this is such a great combo. I want to pull up these few comments that just popped up in the comment section. So Jay, Amanda, thank you for tuning in and commenting. She said, as a grad student, it is a real thing. She's talking about like burnout.
Yeah.
What has to be considered is a healthy balance. Sometimes you have to make time to step away and make sure you build a healthy circle. Yeah, that's totally true. And I think that definitely is consistent with what everybody is saying. And I'm so sorry about your name. I have no idea what this means. Wangan Dragon, thank you for participating. I really appreciate your comment. You said, I think it is also important for everyone to understand that the level of stress you reach before you need a break doesn't need to be compared to other graduate students. And then he also said, it's okay if you are at the point of needing a break and others aren't. Exactly.
Then also, a lot of times the universities have like free mental health services for graduate students and undergrads. Take advantage of it because once you leave graduate school, it's very expensive. So take advantage of it while it's there. Even if I always support someone talking to a therapist, going to a psychiatrist, doing whatever you need to do, because sometimes you just need to talk it out. So even if you're like, nah, I'm good, you're probably not. So just go see a therapist just to talk things out and see how you feel.
It's always better to be proactive about those sort of things than until you get in a really dark place. It's better to nip it in the bud beforehand.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree too. And one thing that I think that I've learned as a graduate student and try to pass on this info to people coming in behind me, like undergrads and graduate students who are a little earlier in their career. is just to remember that literally everyone that you're working with, professionally and academically, is a human. And there's really nothing that separates us all besides, little things. And so when you are interacting with your professor, your advisor, the chair, the dean, the president, just keep in mind that you guys are all human, and the only thing that separates you all is maybe a title, maybe a degree or two, and some years of experience. And none of those things give anybody a license to pressure you, to make you feel uncomfortable, or to stress you out like beyond your capacity. Like, you're gonna get outside of your comfort zone at some points during your graduate career, but if you ever feel like something, like if you see a red flag going up and you say, I need a timeout, or this doesn't feel right, or I'm feeling too pressured, you need to like take care of that immediately. And it's not okay. Those red flags are not okay. You have to pay attention to them. And just like what was said earlier, Genevieve was saying, take advantage of those counseling services that are available to you. Talk it out. If you feel like it's all in your head and you're like, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe my feelings aren't valid, go talk it out with someone, a mental health professional. That's what they get paid to do. And use them as a sounding board to voice your feelings, and they'll also help you navigate through the graduate space. If you don't have that person in your advisor or a friend in your program, definitely go to a mental health professional, or both, or all of those things, right?
I also support like joining organizations where you meet other graduate students that like aren't in your area. While I was in graduate school, I was the president of like this Black Graduate Student Association program, and I got to meet graduate students in different programs, different fields. And sometimes you do have your diehard academic scientist graduate student who downplays your problems, but then sometimes you need to talk to someone who's like not at that level or not in STEM, just to see other perspectives. And because someone else, like if you're surrounded by like the same people with that same mindset, if you go talk to someone who's in humanities department or English department, they're like, that's crazy. And you're like,
exactly.
And that's very helpful.
Yeah, and it helps to give you some perspective and a comparison of, wow, we're both getting the same level of degree, and I'm way more stressed out than they are, and we're paying like the same money.
Yeah,
we're in the same school. I need to figure this out.
Yeah,
I just would like to say it's okay to ask for help. And if you don't know where to go, it's okay to start with someone and ask your friend for help, or ask your advisor for help. It's okay to reach out and ask what resources are available to you.
I would also add that recently we had an admitted students day for people who were coming to see if they wanted to go to my school. And a lot of them were asking, how do you choose which lab you want to be in? And one of the things that I was saying was, make sure you don't choose a lab just solely based on the research. You could also look at how the PI works. Like, is it someone that you would get along with? Does it work the way that like you work? So like, I'm more self-motivated, so my PI is more hands-off, and that works for me because it causes me way less stress. But also, who is in the lab? How do they get along? Are there people in the lab that you can open up to and talk to if you're having issues? And that's been something really awesome for me, because I have some really, really close friends in my lab, and they're the kind of people that I would turn to for stuff like this. So make sure that you are looking at more than just research.
Yes. Second that.
Yeah, it sounds, Genevieve, you really sounded like you were connecting with those women. Like, feel free
I've
to
had like
mind,
a
girl.
similar
That's what we're here
situation.
for. And you can relate.
Yep.
Okay. Plead the fifth, y'all.
Yeah, I had to switch labs like halfway through. Not because of that, but like they ended up losing their funding like halfway into it. But like there were so many signs beforehand. And I was like, if I just keep my nose down and keep working, it'll be fine. And I wasn't getting the mentoring that I needed. But But I was just like, no, just keep at it. And then once I was forced to move, then got to like a different lab, different area. Then I was able to get the mentoring that I actually needed. And it wasn't like the research, I was like, but the mentor was everything. And the other research was like, yeah, but the mentor was not. Yeah.
I have a coworker that was in the exact same position, and she actually ended up switching into our lab because of like her PI, not even because she lost funding, but because of like the mental health situation happening in that lab. People were working like around the clock, and it was a lot.
Yeah.
Is it ever that serious?
It's not. I don't understand. There's people who really like, I know that I cannot thrive in a competitive environment. I'm not about to be hiding lab notebooks. I'm not doing this. Like, it is what it is.
Each other in the
People
lab.
do that.
Wait, you said hiding
Lab
notebooks? Can you explain that a little bit? Because I'm
wait. No, I've heard
in a
of
competitive spirit.
In a competitive spirit, because people will go into your lab notebook and then figure it out before you, or work around the clock. Like once you leave, then they'll do like a night shift and do all the stuff. So then people were like paranoid and hiding lab notebooks.
What? That's crazy.
In the lab,
but there's those environments. Yeah.
In the lab that my friend switched from, people would figure out if you were growing bacterial cultures and go and kill the bacteria in your culture so that you couldn't do your experiments.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the things that made her end up switching. She was like, I can't work in this environment.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then there's PIs who like, there's like, I had a friend who's like in sort of a similar situation. It was like 8 to 10 postdocs in this lab, and people were like sleeping at their desk at night to get things done first. And like the PI was just like, whatever. He didn't feel like it was his responsibility to do anything about interpersonal relationships. He was just like, whoever got it to him faster. He just kind of like completely distanced himself from, the interpersonal relationships and the craziness that was going on in his lab.
I can't even imagine.
I know on this side.
It's crazy. Like, I know that I have friends who are like, I thrive in a competitive environment. I'm like, good for you.
No, because you're in school. Like you're in school. It's not like you're in corporate and you're one pharmaceutical company versus another. Like you're both literally students
in the same lab.
Here to learn in a student lab. Like what?
Yeah,
I feel like science should be collaborative.
Yes,
that's the whole point.
Yeah, we should be able to share lab notebooks. Like they teach us to write our lab notebooks in the way that we should be able to collaborate, so that anybody can pick it up and do your experiment. But like not in a competitive way. Nobody should be taking your data and then using it against you, or like using it to compete with you. That's really crazy, man. Oh my god.
There's like a lot of those like super labs, like when you see the papers and it's like 30 people on the paper, like that happens a lot in those super labs. So I was like,
what are you gaining as a graduate student then by like working in that sort of environment? You graduate a little bit earlier, maybe.
You get a cell paper.
Oh yeah, that.
Well, we're gonna make our own cell paper, okay? It's gonna be real cute, okay? My gosh. Well, you know what? You persisted, and you got out of that situation.
I wasn't in that situation. I've heard of situations.
Alex,
like that.
You got out of that situation.
Oh, my coworker. Yeah,
your coworker, right? Okay. I'm like,
goodness, we're so glad to have her in our lab now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's some comments here that I just want to bring in to the chat. So Natasha from YouTube said, think of it as an internal workout. I think she's talking about going to counseling. Internal workout of the mind. Our mental health is just as important, if not more, than our physical health. We all have mental health issues. Yes, snaps.
We all have mental health issues.
It's the only varying degrees that differ. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where she was going with that. Yeah, nobody's perfect. Yeah. No, we all have little things to work through. And genetically, like we have a myriad, a spectrum of neurological things happening up here. And it doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
No.
We just have to make sure that we take care of those things, just like how we
Yes.
take care of our bodies. So forget about any stigma, whatever. You have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's just that. Thank you so much for making that point. And then another comment. Oh, okay. So I asked, what are your mental health tips? And Natasha said, scream out loud, #SOL, in the shower or in your pillow.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever done that?
I have cry sessions.
Yeah.
Cry sessions.
Just
Like a
cry.
like, ah!
But sometimes you need to get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Talk with yourself out loud. Yeah. Are all tips for maintaining mental health. I do that too. I don't care if anybody says talking. Crazy.
I'm always talking to myself out loud.
It's only crazy if like you have multiple voices in your head answering back to you. Like that's when you probably need to go somewhere and get checked out. And I'm not even gonna call that crazy, right? Because that would be me contradicting myself. It's just a different type of neurological happenings here. So take care of it, right? But yeah,
Take care of it.
Talk to yourself. Use yourself as a sounding board. And it works. If nobody, raise your hand if you've talked to yourself before.
All the time.
All the freaking time.
Also, having a cat makes that seem a little bit less weird. I tried to get her up here earlier, but she jumped off.
Mine are currently.
Oh my gosh, there's two.
Like
I
king
can go
of
grab her.
Cats.
Get her.
Cat. It's cat time.
She doesn't like being picked up. Like here she is.
Hello. Okay, we need names.
This is Boots. Okay, Boots has claws.
Hi, Boots. Hi.
I don't think she's made for the limelight.
And we have a ginger cat here. Ariana's ginger cat.
Thorin Oakenshield. Bonus points if you know where that's from. And then running around somewhere is Pandora.
Oh,
So precious. I love the cats. Okay.
No cats here.
Yeah, my cat is literally terrified right now. He's like, she's talking to 3 people online. Let me go hide under the couch. He's a small kitten. He doesn't like anybody but me. So,
So cute, though.
sorry to you guys.
At least he has a person.
Yeah, he's super cute. Okay, another comment. Teresa, thank you, from Facebook watching. She said, a tip that has worked for me is to step away from work in the lab and do something else that I love that involves some creativity.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I like that. Do you guys have any creative hobbies, just by the way?
A hobby? I'm not sure if it's creative. I twerk for therapy.
Love that.
Dance is a
Standing ovation. All right. Standing ovation. Get that on a t-shirt immediately.
Twerk for therapy. I love that.
We love it. We are fans.
I paint, I draw. That's it.
Okay. Same. I did not paint this, but I paint as well.
That is so cute, and I just want to, just get that out there.
Hashtag it.
Yes.
I will be
no
that.
but I just wanted to make it known that that is a therapeutic body movement.
It's
All right.
therapeutic
body movement, and it's creative. It's dance, just as drawing, poetry, singing, whatever. You don't even have to have a creative hobby. Like, it's okay if you're not even a creative person. Just do something else besides science for once in a while,
I like to walk outside also.
Yay, we like walking outside.
fresh air.
Like this. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Oh, this is such a good This is such a good comment. Make sure that, from Jay, from YouTube, make sure that you are in a good place mentally before you volunteer for anything. Have you guys ever like put yourselves out there for volunteering like that and then you weren't in a good mood?
In my undergrad, yes.
I haven't. Volunteering puts me in a good mood, so.
I've never really thought about that though until she said it. And then all of a sudden I'm flashing back to all these times where I meant to get out and do something, you know, because I wanted to get myself out of a negative space, and I'm like, oh, let me like donate my time somewhere, but I still hadn't like dealt with what was bothering me in the first place. So you go out with the intention of doing good for other people, but in the back of your head you're just like, I'm still upset about that one thing. And I can think of specific situations where I've done that and it added stress onto me. So you're nodding your head. I'm like, you've experienced that as well?
Yeah, I would say in my undergrad, I definitely would overextend myself and try and be that listening ear for all my friends when I was going through my own battles and wasn't necessarily talking to anyone. And I could it definitely adds to the stress and definitely isn't great for yourself. I got through it. But I can understand, like, yeah, that's a great advice to make sure you're mentally all great before you're trying to offer a lending hand to someone else.
Yeah. And I think to add on to what you're saying, it really does go hand in hand with what we experience in grad school when maybe we just don't have time to do things. And then our friends are like, oh, come hang out. You know, I haven't been able to see you. You've been so busy. And then you're like, oh, in the back of your head, you're like, oh, my Western blot, or like, oh my God, I'm tracking these animals and I'm going to miss it.
Not my Western blot.
You know, if I'm not out at dawn tomorrow, you know, and they're like, but I really want to see you. So you go out anyway. And in the back of your head, you're like, oh, my experiment, like, oh. And then you end up probably ruining the good time with your friends. Because you're
I would let my friends know ahead of time because I somehow always become a sounding board for everyone. And so like I would have friends, everyone complains in graduate school, so I get it. Everybody needs to vent and I'm cool with it. You can vent and I can vent, we could all vent together. But because I would have friends venting about their length of time in graduate school, and I was already like the senior graduate student at that moment. Like before you start complaining about year 5, just know that I started over year 4. So so let's not. So then they'll be like, okay. It's like, you can complain about that to someone else. Me, sorry.
I feel like those sort of things, like when you start to feel overwhelmed by everything you have to do in lab, I don't know if this happens to you guys, but for me, it always seems like they line up. Like I'll be overwhelmed in lab and then all of a sudden everyone is texting me that they need something for me, or like everyone needs me as a sounding board. And I'm like, whoa, why can't this be spaced out over like a couple weeks, not all in one day? So I've had days at work where I think I didn't do a single bit of my own research or like anything for myself because I was busy putting out fires and working with teaching undergrads and grading and everything. So yeah, I wish there was just a way to spread it all out.
I totally agree. It seems like there's never a good time.
Exactly.
When it rains, it
happen because I feel like we're all good people and willing to put ourselves out there. Okay, it's time for a game. Yay! It's time for a game. So I'm going to play 73 questions. And I'm not going to ask you guys 73 questions. The way that this is going to work is I'm going to maybe take about 4 or 5 minutes, and it's going to be rapid fire questions. And I'm going to ask each one of you a question, the same question, and you have like literally no time to think about it. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind. This is going to be a great opportunity for the audience to get to know you all on a personal level. And for the audience members, don't leave yet because every show we have a game where the audience members have an opportunity to win an Amazon gift card. Yay! Woo! Make sure that you stay tuned. All right, the show is all about you guys you guys being the audience and our special guest here. So let's make sure we give them our special attention. All right. Are you guys ready for your rapid fire questions? Anybody, maybe take a sip of your drink. This little. All right. Me. Okay, we're gonna go in, I don't know, what is this? Clockwise order. So it's gonna go Alex, Genevieve, Ariana. Alex, Genevieve, Ariana. Okay, ready?
I guess.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get some game show music going on here.
Copyright free.
Right. Oh my god. You know what? If that's going to be the case, I might as well just play my song because even though it's not game show music, I know that I own my own copyright. So better safe than sorry. Thanks. Okay, so play HBIC gently in the background. Okay, so hopefully that's not too loud. Can you guys still hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Wonderful. Hopefully that won't be too loud. So, starting with Alex. Alex, Genevieve, Ariana. What is your favorite cocktail? Go.
I actually don't drink really much. If I have to drink something with gin, maybe. But otherwise, I don't drink.
Genevieve.
Mixed drink?
Anything. I don't know. Whatever you identify as a cocktail. I barely know it myself. So
you do like pineapple Ciroc or pineapple and vodka?
Foghorn, gin and ginger beer.
Nice. Okay, which movie makes you laugh the hardest? Alex Peterson.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding, because it has some crazy parallels with my own life.
I don't know, maybe because it's the last thing in my head, I'm gonna just say like Bad Boys trilogy.
We're gonna ask about this later.
I don't watch a lot of movies, but New Girl as a TV series makes me laugh a lot.
Nice. What do you usually eat for lunch, Alex?
Oh, we're ranging anywhere from Taco Bell to sweet green salad.
Nice range.
Mm-hmm.
Usually some chicken and rice. Either it's like chicken and rice from a cart or chicken and rice from Chipotle. Chicken and rice.
Mine's usually a wrap of some sort with some sort of meat and cheese and veggie combo.
Nice. Alex, what is a trend that you would like to see disappear forever?
Okay, so because I'm really into cosmetics and makeup, I would say the wavy brow thing. That's like where my head went first. Did you guys see that?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, there was a whole trend where people were doing crazy eyebrows, and that can stop.
I'm gonna say people staring into their phones and talking into their phones. Like you're at a concert, but then you turn your back to the concert so that you can Snapchat it and sing to your phone while you miss the concert behind you.
Not to offend anyone, but the Bluetooth earbuds and not being aware of your surroundings when you're walking in public and stuff, / crossing the road in very busy traffic. I would like that trend to stop.
Yes, I totally agree with all of these. And I just want to put you guys on to these wavy brows really quick.
Oh my God.
Hello.
They're bad.
Hello. Look at the wavy brows.
There's also the halo brow, which is all the way across your forehead like this.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know
Why?
I've seen that. Okay.
Yeah.
What did you want to do with your life at age 12, Alex?
I wanted to be a fashion designer at age 12.
I was into film and television, so I wanted to be a director.
I probably wanted to be an Olympic gymnast and then a physical therapist.
Nice. What is something that you don't want to be doing in 10 years?
I don't want to still be in grad school.
Be poor anymore.
I don't want to be tied down. I want to be able to explore and travel.
Yes, we love all of those things. Fabulous. Okay, and then one last question. If you could switch, oh God, if you could switch lives with one person for one day, who would it be?
Oh, easy. Chrissy Teigen. I love her. She's like role model for me. I know she's very polarizing, but I love her.
I would go Jada Pinkett Smith because she has all this wisdom, and I just kind of want to soak it in for a day and then add it to my life.
I'm gonna have to go with my cat because I would love to be able to sleep all day and have someone feed me and like clean my house for me and not have to do anything. I feel like that would be great for a day.
That would be great.
It would be also cool to know what they're thinking. Like,
yeah,
he's plotting to take over the world.
And I'm like, what's so fascinating about this corner? I want in on this joke, whatever.
Well, thank you guys for playing 70 million questions with me. Woo, you guys did a great job. I know ASL, so I often do this, and I don't think people know that this is applause in sign language. So just so you know, if you ever see me doing this, like it's not jazz fingers. This is how deaf people.
These are jazz fingers.
Right. These are jazz fingers. This is applause for people who are deaf and hard of hearing. And I'm not deaf or hard of hearing. But I know ASL, and I'm really like attuned to, I use sign when I talk sometimes. So yes. Yay. Okay, so let's move on. Usually this is when we do our Q&A session, and I've left comments in our chat for our audience to ask questions. We've had a steady audience of about 10 people coming in and out throughout the course of our show. And so we have 10 people right now watching. I want you guys to put in the chat any question at all for anybody. It could be for all of us. It could be for one of us. It could be for, I don't know, for the other audience members. But just to remind you guys, hold on, and correct me if I get this wrong, because I could get this wrong. Alex Peterson is in her PhD program, right? And she's a third year biochem student, getting a doctorate. Yes. And she does research on biofilms. All right. She does research on biofilms. And we'll probably maybe get into a little bit about what that is. A little bit about what you guys do, actually, if they don't have any questions in the chat. Genevieve, oh my gosh, hold on. She is a postdoc student, and she studies neuroscience and also the gut and how the gut is connected to the brain.
Ish. Close enough.
Okay, you can correct me. What do you do, Miss Genevieve?
I do smell and taste research, and I'm looking at how the gut microbiome may be affecting taste receptors in the gut.
Got it. Okay, way more interesting than whatever I just said. Thank you. And then Ariana is what are you a student?
Yeah, I'm a master's student.
Okay, you're a master's student. She is studying wildlife science?
Yeah, wildlife ecology.
Wildlife ecology. Ooh. And did I hear or see that you were studying birds in particular? Or was that totally not it at all?
In my picture, I'm holding birds, helping a friend. I'm studying bobcats and connectivity through urban landscapes.
So cool. So let's start with you, because I feel like you are our first ecologist on the show, so I'm really excited about that. I'm so excited about that. And I think right, yeah, I feel like there's such a segregation in the biology community between ecologists and then like the more cell and molecular type people. At least that's been my experience, is that there's never really a chance for us to connect and talk about science together, just because the nature of our work is usually so different. But hopefully in you guys' experiences, you've been able to not have that type of segregated work environment when it comes to your field. But I'm really excited to have an ecologist on the show. Can you tell me what your favorite part about being an ecologist is?
I feel like my favorite part is having opportunities to be outdoors and then also be in the lab. And so I get this kind of hybrid experience where I get to be indoors and outdoors. And that's not the case for all ecologists. Some ecologists work primarily indoors on the computer, some work primarily outdoors. So I just kind of love that hybrid nature of the field and that you get to do kind of the best of both worlds, in my opinion.
I love it. And then we have some questions coming into the comments, but before we cover those, I really want to cover you guys individually and talk more about what you do. So what project are you working on right now, Ariana?
So I'm working on a project mostly in the lab, actually analyzing remote sense. So like the satellites that are flying over us all the time are collecting data on landscapes and producing maps and all that type of information. So I'm combining all of that and mapping habitat suitability for bobcats across New Jersey. And then I am doing connectivity analysis to see whether different habitat patches are suitably connected for bobcats to be able to move through their landscape and colonize new habitats and areas. So that's currently what I'm working on.
Love it. So if you have any specific questions for Ariana, please put them in the chat. She's doing some amazing work. Yeah, and I can't wait to hear more about it. I wish we had all night to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
It is super cool. Thank you for sharing. So Genevieve, please tell us about your specific project that you're working on and maybe fill us in on some of the findings that you have in your study.
So my background is usually the brain and neuroscience, but during my dissertation work, I was finding like these cool gut-brain interactions. So for my postdoc, I decided to try to focus more on gut stuff. So then what I'm doing now, or what was just finished, was we put mice on these different diets. So they were diets with different ratios of fat to carbohydrate, but they had an equal energy density. And so we're seeing how that impacts the gut microbiome or the makeup of the gut microbiome of those animals on those diets. Because a lot of times they're like, oh, this gut microbiome is typical with someone's obese, but then you can't tell a difference between like, is it the diet that's causing it or is it the excess weight gain that's causing it. So there is an equal energy density. So none of the animals were totally obese, but some of them did gain weight. But we did look over time to see how the gut microbiome changed with the diet and then over 8 weeks. So far, since I'm still learning about the gut microbiome, we see that there is like a mass shift. There's a complete different microbiome makeup for the different diets, although they have the equal energy density. But the major shift happens within 1 week of being on the diet, and then everything pretty much stays the same after 8 weeks. But I'm still kind of digging into it because I'm learning.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm sure that this is probably a lot of people's first time hearing about gut bacteria and the relationship to the brain. Yes. So what are some starting points that you can give for people who this is their first time hearing about this? Like, can you kind of just walk them through a few introductory points about what I guess the impact of gut bacteria is on the brain, or what is going on with the bacteria? What are they doing that affects the brain?
The gut and brain are typically connected anyway, like hormonally, essentially, because, the gut sends signals to the brain to tell you if you're hungry or not, and then you go and eat, find food, or stop eating. And so since the gut bacteria can eventually also modulate how hormones are released, how, gut distension, things like that, that eventually does send signals to the brain to let you know, like, it can throw things off. So if you've got like a, overload of certain bad gut bacteria, it can alter your appetite eventually, because then your brain is not like, you're not actually, it's not a proper connection, and your brain's not really like looking, if you're hungry but you don't know you're hungry, you're not going out looking for food or things like that. It's not connecting with like the hypothalamus and things like that. So it's a little bit, it's a broad area, if that makes any sense, but that's like one of the ways that gut bacteria could be altering like your feeding. But then there's also there's also research showing that like changes in gut bacteria have to do with like what is it? Not Alzheimer's. There's connections with Alzheimer's too, but certain mental health conditions as well. So the gut's very important. You've just been not paying attention to it.
Cool.
Oh, she's muted. You're muted.
Oh, you are muted.
Raven's muted.
Uh-oh. Oh no.
Oh no.
Keep going.
I wanted the show. Okay.
Technical difficulties.
We're back. Hello?
You're good. Everyone.
Yeah, what happened? Can you guys
I
hear me?
don't know.
Can you guys hear me?
Now we can.
Yeah.
What? That is so weird. Oh my gosh. So you guys can hear me, and then you guys flip-flopped. That's so weird. Okay, well, I was saying that half of the comments are actually not showing up in our chat. So I actually just by chance went to my personal Facebook page, and there's a ton of good questions here. Genevieve, somebody asked you about the relationship between gut bacteria and autism, of course, because that's always a hot topic.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments on that?
Unfortunately, I don't.
Yeah, it's a very new frontier. There's so little that we know about autism that we are actively trying to research and work through. And those things take time. Like a lot of people think science is just like instant and that we have all the tools and we know everything and we can connect all the points. And that's just not the case. So we're still learning. And I think of course, we'll all be really excited once we start making breakthroughs and understanding the sources of autism and pinpointing how, autism functions in humans. But yeah, we don't really know. That's a really good question, though.
Yeah.
It's a really good question. Okay. And so, oh my God, it flip-flopped. So who did it? Oh my God, Alex?
Oh, Alex needs to go.
Okay, got it. Alex, go ahead.
Awesome. So I'm currently working with bacterial biofilms, and biofilms are something that play a really large role in human health because they can cause a lot of chronic infections that then make it really hard to treat with antibiotics, because antibiotics can honestly just have a hard time getting through biofilms. So my research is basically on this enzyme called dispersin B, which breaks up poly-N-acetylglucosamine, which is a polymer that's found a lot in biofilms. And so basically this enzyme that's used to break it up has been used a couple times in medicine as like a coating for medical implants to try to keep biofilms from growing on it. But it's really awful at breaking down PNAG. Like it's really slow. And it would be a lot better for us to have a faster enzyme to use as a treatment that would help us break down biofilms better. So my current project is either going to end up engineering or discovering through like screening libraries enzymes that break down PNAG faster than dispersin B. So I'm currently writing a paper. Actually, the COVID-19, my quarantine kind of hit at a good time for me, which sounds bad to say, but because I'm currently writing a paper and I don't have to be in lab, I finished all the research for it. So I can spend a couple weeks writing. So I'm currently writing a paper about how mutating different amino acids in dispersin B affects how it can cleave different patterns of poly-N-acetylglucosamine. So look for that coming out in some journal soon. Not sure which one.
I'm just putting in a link in the chat to the Wikipedia page for dispersin B. if you want some context, you know, it's there. It's there. She's speaking my language, molecular bio language. Like I'm wearing, come on, look at my shirt. Like
I love it.
No, like, you know, this is a Western blend, rather. Oh, it could be. Well, actually, I don't know. It's probably a gel. Anyway, yeah. So that's where we're at right now. Just real nerdy, dirty and nerdy.
I can break stuff down more if that would help too.
Yes. We love David. David. Wait, that was the worst English accent ever. Just
sorry,
I regret it instantly. I'm gonna leave that up to David. What does your shirt say? Because I feel like we're gonna stand for your shirt. Educated queen. Yes. Yes. Alex, are we missing something on your shirt?
No, just plain.
Hey,
I should have worn something.
Fine.
I have a shirt that says "Work hard and be nice," and if I knew, I would have worn that one.
Totally fine. Next time. That's a really good message, by the way. Yeah. Yes. So we're coming up on 90 minutes. So I definitely want to make sure we can get in our audience game, as well as answer the last few questions that were in the comments. So we're going to answer these questions first, and then we're going to get into our audience game, and then we're going to peace out. All right. We have some social distancing to do. All right. Some quarantining to do. And even though we have a good time in the STEMbassy, we got to get back to business. So Natasha asked a really insightful question. Holy crap, girl. She said, how, as women, do you think your contributions matter to science in 21st century medicine? I mean, that is a loaded question. So how, as women, do you think your contributions matter to science in 21st century medicine? Do any of you guys want to start this off? Like, I already have some thoughts, which is pretty crazy because usually I don't do well with these like multiple layered questions. I think I would like to say that we're coming into times where we're trying to make things more diverse. And I'm really looking forward to, as a woman, contributing to that diversity aspect in our understanding of medicine and how our world works, if that makes any sense. And there's a lot of studies that show that diverse workspaces create diverse ideas. So I'm really looking forward to how we as women, and really like a whole spectrum of women of all types, backgrounds, abilities, cultures, contribute as a whole to our understanding in medicine. So that was a really broad answer to your question, but that's my answer. Anybody else have an answer?
I think I second that or piggyback on that, because when I got into science, or as long as I've been into science, I never thought like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get this out. Like, it's never been about me. But I think younger generation seeing me, or me being in the classroom, inspiring people of color, women of color, little Black girls into science, things like that, maybe they can come up and do something way better than I could have even imagined. So like, I never dreamed, or I never thought that science was ever an option for me. It just wasn't a blip at all until like junior year of college. And so like, I want to do is like inspire like the next generation to really think about it, consider it, because like if I can do it, you definitely can do it. And then maybe they can have these more diverse lab spaces, things like that, where it's a diverse group of people who can come together and better answer things for cancer, or, you know, whatever is going to be plaguing the brain or neuroscience or things like that in the future. That's what I want my contribution to be, just to be like a stepping stone for someone to go into greatness. Who knows? Oh, she's
right.
Sorry, I muted it 'cause there was echo.
Go ahead.
I mean, I don't work in medicine or anything related to medicine. I guess if I were to interpret this question loosely, I would guess I kind of work in the health of the environment and the ecosystem. So I guess I would like to be able to encourage, kind of like what Genevieve was saying, like little girls to be able to imagine things that they hadn't thought that they'd be able to do, and do like field research, which is a predominantly kind of male, historically predominated field, that they can go out and be that person trekking in the wild and studying snakes or whatever they want to, and contribute to the health of our environment and our understanding of it.
Anybody else want to say anything? It's okay if you don't, because we have plenty of good questions here in the comments.
Yeah, I would say I think it'd be really cool to someday, like specifically talking about the medicine part, see the enzyme that I engineer or discover being used in medicine. That would be really cool. Who knows if it ever would be, or even like in my lifetime or career as a scientist. But as a woman scientist, I was actually inspired to become a scientist by Miss Frizzle, who I know isn't a real.
Yes!
Yeah, so I feel like my role now is to try to like inspire my younger cousins. I've got 4 younger cousins on my mom's side of the family, and 2 of them are now interested in becoming scientists, and I like to think that that's because I convinced them to do that. So that's, I think, how I'm paying it forward with the next generation.
Such great answers. Yes. Yes to all of this. Our next question. Boom. Drake Hardman from YouTube says, how do you feel minorities are represented in your respective fields of study? What do you think can be done to improve it?
Good question.
I know a lot of Black and brown neuroscientists because I do a lot of programs or a lot of different avenues where I meet Black and brown neuroscientists. But when you go to like the large Society for Neuroscience meetings or things like that, or you go to your little your specialized groups, group meetings, really see us. And I feel like at that point it's kind of too late. You don't grab a scientist like me, junior of college, typically. You don't. That doesn't happen. I feel like the best way to increase the amount of minorities in science is to be out in the public and let the kids see it, so the kids know that it's an option, so that there's like 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds seeing you on TV or on the internet doing really cool things with science, and they're like, oh, she looks like me, I can do that too. And then they'll have this little nugget of interest in science that will hopefully grow into like a flower or something. So I feel like a lot of times I've been a part of organizations where they're like, how can we increase, minorities in neuroscience? And they look at me and I'm like, well, at this point it's too late to get them. They've already chosen their major. They have no interest in science. But like when you're a kid and you're younger, you're in high school, middle school, you have like that, you're just interested in it. You see like the little bottle rocket experiment and then you're like, whoa, what is that? So the way you hook them when they're young, and then like tug them along through college. Because once it gets to college, it gets a little complicated and people only think that you can go to med school and that's it. And that's the only thing you can do with a degree in science. And there's a variety of things that you can do with a degree in science. So I think hook them when they're young. Go out to elementary schools and do outreach in the community and do things like that to get the kids excited about it.
Yes. Yes to all of these things. Yes. Let's just do snaps right now. Like, because she just spoke a good word, a true gospel, right? And I resonate with so many things that you said. And I feel like we're all on the same page. You have to start early. And then, what I want to add is that I feel like I've taught as a professor at a college before, and I've done a lot of work helping students reimagine what a scientist is and what it looks like. Because by the time they get to college, they don't have that representation. And when they get to college, I suddenly appear and I'm like, boop, like, hey, I'm a black woman. And they're like, what? Oh my God, you exist. And then like their whole perception of science is totally changed. And then they're like, well, I've never thought about being a scientist, but here I am at college. And I don't know, if you can do it, I can do it too. And I'm like, yes, exactly. If I can do it, you could do it too.
Totally do it.
So go do it. And they're like, oh, I think I will. And then they do it and they become a scientist. So yeah, we have a job to be visible, right? And I think, like we were saying earlier, getting out of the lab and doing things that are not particularly science, but like being out in the community as a scientist, not necessarily doing science rather, but saying, hey, oh, by the way, I'm a scientist, you know, as you're crocheting in your crochet group. And then somebody being like, oh, scientists crochet? Like, would have never thought that. They go to crochet groups. Aren't you supposed to be in a lab? No, because we do other things. But like changing the narrative, making ourselves more accessible and having conversations, being on shows like the STEMbassy, where like people who aren't necessarily engaged with science on a regular basis can talk to you. These things are really important. So thank you all for being on the show, by the way. Yeah. Anybody else want to contribute to this gigantic question?
I think Genevieve covered a lot of it. I do agree that it is reaching out to those people who haven't necessarily imagined that they could be a scientist and planting that seed, like she said. She did a great job.
Agreed. She really did. And just one last nugget, and then we'll move on to this next question. Something that I'm really big on is realizing that a lot of the outreach initiatives that people have used to reach out to recruit and retain minorities in science have been very not personalized to the groups that they're trying to recruit and retain. Yes. And so you guys know me, I make science rap music. And I do that because I love rap music. I grew up listening to all kinds of rap, but like all kinds of music, like emo music, classical music, opera, but rap was like at the top. And I love science. So I mix those things together, like unapologetically. You guys know, you've seen my videos, maybe, you know, like I really embrace all of rap culture and I mix it with science. And then people are like, well, I've never seen that before. I'm like, because nobody does that. They kind of pick and choose what parts of this culture, like Bill Nye, when Bill Nye did rap, like it didn't look really like authentic. Thank you. That's the word. So the intention was maybe like, hey, let's get these rap kids into science by doing rap, but they're not doing it authentically, which kind of is smack in the face kind of to the people that you're trying to recruit, because it's like, well, you know, let's do this genuinely. Yes. So I do want to say that when you ask what do you think can be done to improve it, make sure you're doing this authentically, like your retention, your recruitment initiatives for minorities to be in science. Make sure it's a genuine effort, that you've researched and that you understand the culture of the people that you're trying to reach out to. What are they genuinely interested in and how do they engage with that at a genuine level? And then have people who actually care do that work. Like, you know, like that's all I gotta say. Yeah, it's a huge question. And I think we all address it in different ways for sure. So fun question from Jay Amanda on YouTube. Thanks, Jay. She says to everyone, if you were not in the beautiful world of science, what would you be doing now? I take a drink. Oh, okay.
I have an answer for this one. I have always been fascinated by languages and the differences between them. So I'd probably be a linguist of some sort. So
that is so cool.
So
I might still be doing film.
Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead. I was like, I might have still stayed in film. I've been directing movies and stuff. Who knows?
So my goal after grad school is to actually become a cosmetic chemist and work for a cosmetic company, or someday maybe make my own line. So if I wasn't doing chemistry right now, I'd probably be some sort of makeup artist or someone in the cosmetic field. Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Very cool.
Do you have a YouTube channel or anything?
No, I bought a fancy camera and I'm ready to go, but I haven't made anything yet.
We need help. The girls need help. I don't know how to do it.
I need help.
I don't know how to put my makeup on. I have my brush and like my little squirt thing, foundation, and that's all I got. Some lip gloss.
Sounds like I need to make some tutorials.
Yeah, help the girls out because we are confused. And for me, what would I be doing right now if I weren't in science? Probably fashion, which sounds really like girly, and I'm not really that girly, but I just like expressing myself. So fashion or music, but I probably wouldn't be into music if I wasn't talking about science, because I only like science music. So
It's awesome.
identity crisis. So probably fashion, yes. Okay, Genevieve, you have a question specifically for you. Jay said, does or can trauma affect your taste buds? If so, can it be reversed? Really interesting.
So this is a little layered. And so smell and taste are combined because your tongue only tells you sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami, which is savory. So that is it. So your tongue can't tell you chocolate versus vanilla, strawberry versus, orange. That's all based on your nose. So in order to experience flavor, you need your nose. So then a lot of traumatic brain injury or things like that can impact your sense of smell. And then people are like, I can't taste anything. It's like, well, yeah, you can taste that the food is salty, but you can't taste that like the lemon flavor within the chicken. So things can happen where it's typically maybe like a traumatic brain injury where you can lose olfactory sensory neurons, and then you lose your sense of taste. There's been other studies showing that like people who go through chemo alters your taste receptors, and so then that also impacts taste, but then chemo also alters olfactory sensory neurons, so things like that. So your taste buds can be impacted, but then like what specifically is impacted? Is it flavor or is it taste? So it depends. Because your tongue will tell you it's salty, but it won't taste like soup.
This is so cool. Thank you so much. This is really intriguing questions from the audience. So that concludes our Q&A and our chit chat, and we're going to wrap up our show with a quick game for our audience members. So if you're in the game, I want you to go into the chat and type "I'm here" or type something so that we know you're participating. I want to see how many people are here actively in the chat, listening, participating. And for those of you, there's like a handful of you guys who are actually on my Raven the Science Maven page or like in a watch party. I've shared this like on different places in the internet. Make sure that you're in the STEMbassy Facebook page, because if you're not, any comments that you write are not going to come up in the chat where we can see them. So make sure you're in the STEMbassy Facebook page watching this live on the STEMbassy Facebook or the STEMbassy YouTube channel. Those are the only two places where you can type and we will see your comments. So if you're not there and you're playing this game, you're counting yourself out already. And we want to give away this Amazon gift card. It's $5. Okay, it's $5 gift card, but it's
$5 more than you had.
Before. Use it to buy some hand sanitizer. Okay.
Or you need a lot more than $5 now.
Toilet paper.
How much is hand sanitizer right now?
300.
A few stacks. Okay. So play with STEMbassy several times. Maybe you can afford a squirt of hand sanitizer. That's what we're saying here. That's what we're saying here. Okay, so we have Miss Robin here. We've got Drake Hardman. I only see 2 people here in the chat. So looks like a sudden death situation to me.
Good odds.
Right?
Yep.
The good thing is that this time around, we're not going to do a trivia question because I want to emphasize that science is not about memorizing facts. It's about creating solutions to problems and strengthening our understanding of the world around us and our potential future, right? So this week we will not be playing a trivia game. I also am aware that you guys like to Google the answers, and it makes it hard for everyone to win because we've had the same winner several times. And I commend you on your fast fingers, okay? And thank you for participating. But I definitely want to open up possibilities for everyone. Okay, so we have more people in the chat. Natasha, Jay, Drake, Robin, thank you for participating. So as we talked about earlier, COVID-19 is the hot topic for today, and it's been the hot topic for the past 3 months. And that's okay because it's a pandemic, right? It's a global occurrence of a disease. It's affecting multiple countries around the world, and it's something that we should be concerned about. So my question for the audience, and the way that this is going to work is that you all will give your responses. I'll give you all 2 minutes. I'll put my timer on for 2 minutes for you to formulate your response. And then I'm going to have us 4, we're going to, well, actually, I'm going to count myself out because I do this every week and I don't want you guys to have beef with me. But I want you 3 to actually judge the answers to this question and help me pick a winner. Is that fair? Okay. All right. Somebody's going to win this $5 gift card. It's only $5, so you guys can't be too mad about it. Okay. We love you. Okay. So my question is, I want you to come up with a solution, right? A well thought answer. This can't be 2 or 3 words, something that really helps us understand your whole entire point and frame of thought. Tell us, what is a way that we can prevent pandemics in the future? Come up with the solution of how we can prevent pandemics in the future. I'm going to put my timer on here for 2 minutes. Okay, it's going now. You have 2 minutes to put into the chat your solution as to how to prevent pandemics in the future. And if you're not sure what a pandemic is, let me get an official definition for you. What qualifies pandemic? A pandemic is the worldwide spread of a new disease. So in this case, we have COVID-19 pandemic, and it occurs when a new, now we have the novel coronavirus. It's emerged and it's spread around the world, and it's something that most people are not immune to, which causes a lot of problems, as we've seen, a lot of deaths, sicknesses, and in this case, COVID-19 is very contagious, so it spreads fast. How can we prevent something like this from happening in the future?
It's a hard question.
It is hard. But the winner will receive a $5 Amazon gift card. Yes. Yes. And the point of this is to really get people out of the mindset that they're not in power, right? We as scientists, and you know, if you're watching, you're probably maybe also a scientist or just, a citizen scientist. You have the authority, right? We all have voting rights, maybe.
Maybe.
We all have the potential to vote, right? Maybe. And what you know about the world and how things work matters. So my timer went off.
Anyone answer?
Whoop, we need answers.
We
will extend the time.
Okay, let me put 2 more minutes on the clock. Okay, 2 minutes. And there's also a lag in time between us talking and what they hear. So it may also be that. But
Okay,
we have some comments coming in here. Got some comments coming in here. Oh, wow! Were you guys? Did you guys have a 2-minute timer up too?
Apparently,
all came up at the same time. Well, I reset the timer, so we have 1 minute and 20 seconds on this timer, just to give more people the opportunity to answer. But I really am enjoying these responses so far. And thank you for contributing a well-thought answer.
These are good answers.
They're really
good answers.
Really good answers.
They're really good.
Just a side note, I used to work with science. Oh my gosh, it was such a long time ago. Scientists and Engineers for America. And a part of my job there was to interview political candidates on their science policy and what they support. And that organization is no longer in existence, but it was a really great opportunity for me to learn the importance of supporting a candidate that supports your scientific beliefs, because science really does run the world, and it generates our future as a country and as a global society. Think about global warming, think about alternative energy, think about all of those things. So make sure that as you consider candidates to vote for, that you're also well aware of what type of science they support, and think about whether you support it or not. My 2 cents, all right. Okay. So my timer went off. I am no longer, time is up. Putting that in the chat. So any responses after this message of time is up will not be counted. So here we go. Let's run through these. It's going to be really hard, by the way, before we go on to pick a winner. We appreciate everyone that participated. It's so important that we all have this conversation together, and it's going to be hard to choose a winner. And if you don't win this week, please tune in next week, because we play games every week, and it's always a good opportunity to engage in conversation and just get your thoughts out there. And you could win next time, to be honest. I want to make it rain $5 Amazon gift cards. Okay? Let's make it rain. So let's go through this here. Okay, Robin said, better relations. Okay, because I know some new people might be in here. The question was, how do we prevent future pandemics? Robin said, better relationships between countries, scientists having a presence at UN, United Nations, and international organizations. We must communicate, interrelate, cooperate. Okay, I see you. Which promotes care in a caring response. Okay, come on. Robin for president. I love it. Yeah, that's a great answer. Okay, Jay from YouTube. To prevent a pandemic in the future, we must be aware and sensitive of what's going on around us globally. Also, practice empathy when providing / prepping our world with information. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Also a great comment. Okay.
Yes.
And then Natasha said from YouTube, science and scientists must become the right hand of policymakers in this country. Scientists must have a platform outside of medicine and taken seriously as thought leaders for the overall well-being of citizens.
Agreed.
That is a great answer. So, okay, I'm gonna actually step out of here for a few minutes, okay, as you guys deliberate about who's going to win the $5 Amazon gift card.
Okay.
Oh man, she left.
So, which of the ones we read was y'all's favorite?
I'm between Robin and Natasha.
I am too. I'm going to argue for Robin because I think it's not only an issue in our country, which
Yes,
I feel like it has to be all countries in a global initiative.
Yeah.
So.
Sounds good to me.
I support it.
Awesome.
This.
Thank you, ladies. I know that was hard. So it sounds like we have a winner who was
Robin.
Congratulations, Robin, for your contribution to the STEMbassy game. You are the winner of a $5 Amazon gift card. Oh my goodness. Thank you for playing, everyone. Jay, Natasha, you all had excellent answers. Jay is actually a previous STEMbassy guest. She was on the first episode. So we're really glad to have you. She watches every week. So thank you for your support. And Natasha, thank you for your support as well. Robin will be in touch. I will be getting your email address after the show from Facebook so that we can get you your Amazon gift card. Woo! Okay, so that concludes our show. We went way over this time. But it happens. It's so hard to wrap up a good conversation, and I'm sure you've all been there at some point in time. But we got to go. Okay, we're on. So COVID-19 situation over here is crazy. So I think we all need time to just unwind and prepare for the weeks ahead of us. For those of you who are teachers, by the way, I just want to say, like, you guys got this. We got this. I know schools are closing and they're asking a lot of our educators right now to help prepare our students for distance learning. So if that applies to you, I just want to say, hang in there. You got this. Make sure you guys are practicing social distancing, and make sure if you have any symptoms that you report them, get tested, and then self-quarantine. Okay. And then, as it was stated before, check your HR policies because you don't want to miss out on having a job because you got quarantined and thought you were going to have a job when you came back to work. So all of those things. We enjoyed talking with you guys. Alex, Ariana, Genevieve, is there anything that you would like to share with the audience, with everyone before you go? Any parting words? Goodbye.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah,
thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks
For the
for
dialogue.
Okay, so that is the end of our show. Thank you for tuning in. And again, STEMbassy is live every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. DM STEMbassy on Instagram, on Facebook, or on Twitter if you are interested in coming onto the show. We're looking to host STEM ambassadors. So anybody who is in a STEM field, science, technology, engineering, or mathematics. And if you're outgoing, you like to have fun, okay, don't come on here and be shy and not talk to us because it's a talk show. We need to make sure that you want to get down with the shenanigans. So hit me up if that's something that you're interested in. And until next time, bye. All right. We're gone. Out of here.